that's when I decided to get him to quit his job and join my company. So I was kind of the main founder, but he's definitely my co-founder on the software.
And you're co-founder in life, which is also quite cool.
Yes, co-founder of our kids, our farm, all of these things, yes.
Hey, awesome people. Welcome to Bootstrap Stories, the only podcast where founders of bootstrap companies share in all transparency the ups and downs of their journey. Starting a business comes hand in hand with loneliness, the pressure of not being successful, and overall, lots of challenges. After meeting with hundreds of entrepreneurs in the past years, I figured out that we all have struggles and make lots of mistakes when building a business. But the truth is that most people are afraid to share this publicly. That's what motivated me to start this podcast, to show that we're all on the same journey, facing the same struggles, and to give energy to all entrepreneurs worldwide to continue their adventure. Even if sometimes it can be really challenging and we often feel like giving up, in the end, it's all worth it. My guest for this episode is Nathalie Lussier, CEO and founder of AccessAlly. Hey Nathalie, thanks a lot for joining Bootstrap Stories.
Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited to have a chat with you and welcome a fellow bootstrap entrepreneur. So let's get started with AccessAlly. Can you please give us a bit of an overview of what it does and when you started the business?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started the business in about 2013, 2014, and the story is really that I was using a WordPress plugin to run my online course, and I had a free challenge, the 30-day list building challenge, and we were getting, thousands of signups almost, per day, and our plugin could not handle it, and our host thought we were getting attacked because of all the traffic and the way that the plugin was set up. So we really just coded this in one weekend to solve our problem, because we were like, we can't wake up and have to call our host every day. This is not going to work. So my husband is a developer. I have a degree in software engineering, and we were like, okay, let's just roll up our sleeves and do it. And then, over time we realized, so now this is it handles our courses, but we could do so much more, right? Because we could add progress tracking, we could do quizzes, we could do video tracking, we could do all this awesome stuff. So over time we made it better. And then people who are going through our courses were saying, hey, what platform are you doing this on? This is really cool. So we decided, yes, okay, maybe there's actually a product here that we could make a whole business around. And at the time my business was selling online courses. And so we decided to, take that step back into software, which I call kind of my spiral staircase, because I started off in software, but, then started my business, which was not a software business. So we decided to hang our shingle, put AccessAlly out there, and, we grew it. And today what we have to offer is so different from what it started off as, because it's been so many years and we've added so much functionality. So I kind of say we're the most powerful WordPress-based online course and membership solution on the platform right now.
That's really cool. And do you still work with your husband?
I do, yes.
Awesome. Are you guys co-founders, or is he?
We are, yeah. So okay. I had started my own business right out of college. And so he took a corporate job, and essentially kind of, we did our own things for a while. And then when my course business was doing so well, that's when I decided to get him to quit his job and join my company. So I was kind of the main founder, but he's definitely my co-founder on the software side for sure.
Nice. And you're co-founder in life, which is also quite cool.
Yes, co-founder of our kids, our farm, all of these things, yes.
Nice. And basically, whenever you had your courses, how much money were you making a year?
I'm trying to remember the exact. I think we were probably at 500,000-ish. Nice. We got up to that point before we really added the software side of things. So yeah. And
how exactly did the transition go from, you had a course that was making $500,000 per year. You decide to transition to software. How does that go? Do you stop everything from the day to another, or do you keep the course for a few years?
Yeah. Oh, and I should say it was not just courses, but I also had a mastermind, and I had a live event. So there was a couple other parts to it. Okay. But definitely courses were a large chunk of that. But yeah, so we kept some of those things going for a little while, and that kind of is how we bootstrapped the software side. And I know, people think, okay, software, it's like super lucrative, but like not on day one, right?
Yeah.
Especially with recurring software where you get, maybe it's $100 per month for each person, but it's not a lot to pay yourself and team or anything like that. So definitely, we kept that going for a while. And when we decided to stop doing the live event and the mastermind was when we decided to start our family, because we knew, there's a lot of logistics. You have to be there in person, and with a little kid around, it's probably not going to work so well. So that's when we decided to go 100% on the software side and kind of let go of some of those more, some of them were more passive, the courses, but then the in-person stuff and the masterminds were definitely more, time intensive and location based.
And did you use like your existing audience to kind of like launch the WordPress, and basically like the people who had taken your course, try to move them towards the SaaS that you were launching?
Yes, definitely. They were kind of our built-in audience and our built-in customers. And a lot of them were our early adopters. They gave us great feedback. They told us like, hey, I'm trying to do this thing. And, can we do this? And we'd be like, okay, sure, let's code that for you. So definitely that helped us figure out what we wanted the software to do, because just for ourselves, we definitely had ideas of what we wanted to do, but having that quick loop with our customers made a big difference in the beginning for sure.
That's awesome. And do you still spend time coding, or is it your husband handling this part?
Yeah, my husband is what I would call our lead developer. And okay. When we did our redesign, I kind of dusted off my chops and definitely got more into the code base for a bit to it was such a big project. We had to put all hands on deck on the redesign. Okay. We just kind of redid our entire interface and everything. So definitely got back in it then. But yeah, he's our main developer. And then we also hire university students who are interns. And so that's been working out really well. And they're paid, they're kind of like full-time people, but they're just on for about 4 months at a time. And that has helped us, add more developers to our team too.
That's cool. How many people in the team right now?
Right now we are 8 full-time, including myself and my husband. Plus we have 3 interns right now.
Okay. And what's the annual recurring revenue of the company?
We're just a little bit over $1 million right now.
That's cool. Yeah, I think it's nice. Like 8 people, over $1 million in revenue. That's really the sweet spot. And what have you seen like working so far when it comes to user acquisition?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of different things over the years. So we've done Facebook ads, we've done Google ads placements. We've done webinars, we've done pretty much the whole thing you could imagine that we would do. And the thing that I think works really well, and we kind of went back to our roots on, is, list building and doing just really solid organic content. And we do that through YouTube. We do that through, SEO. And that has been really kind of what has powered us in the beginning, like way before when I was doing courses, before we even had the software. And I think that continues to be a really strong acquisition for us. And we definitely still dabble in ads every now and then, but it's not our primary acquisition channel for now.
Oh, that's awesome. And can you walk us through like the kind of like the customer journey or like funnel you have when it comes to list building? Like how do you get the emails? What type of content, etc.?
Yeah, so this is always a work in progress, right? So we've done all kinds of things. We have our demo. So basically, sometimes people are just really curious when it comes to software. They just want to see it, right? They want to play with it. They want to experience it. So what we have is a demo so people can opt in, and then they're essentially in a course that we built using AccessAlly, so they can kind of play with it, see, they can earn points. And then when they kind of complete this course, they get a discount that they can apply to their license. So we kind of gamified the experience, but also it's the software itself, so they can kind of see what they could create themselves. So that has worked really well for us. And then obviously we have the email follow-up sequence that goes with that. So we've experimenting. We are like split testing different types of email sequences we could be sending to them. But what's working really well right now is kind of just being very transparent with people and saying, hey, we know you're a smart business owner and you get a lot of these kind of funnel emails. And, one of the things that we're supposed to talk about in these emails is your pain points, right? What are your pain points? What are the problems we're trying to solve for you? And I kind of take a step back when I wrote those emails and I said, a lot of what people are really worried about right now is not necessarily the software they're using for their business, but kind of big picture stuff like climate change, inequality, the pandemic. Like there are so many real problems in the world. And if I can solve this one, tech issue that you have, so you can focus on the other aspects of your life that really, really impact then hopefully I've done my job. So that's kind of been working really well for us, is to just be real with people. Yes, technology is important and your business is important, but I know everyone's not staying up at night worrying about that when there's so many bigger issues at stake right now.
That's nice. And I'm guessing because you're targeting people who are actually creating courses, is there a high churn, or have you been struggling with that point? Because obviously especially during COVID, I'm assuming that people wanted to start courses, but if they have never done it before, they're going to see that it's not an easy task and that it requires a lot of time, effort, patience. So what's your view on that, and what has been the metrics?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because we definitely saw, like you said, an increase in new customers in, right at the beginning of COVID. And at the same time, we saw people canceling at that same time just because there was so much uncertainty. And I think people also realized, okay, my kids are going to be home now. I don't have as much time. So there was definitely this kind of balance between people who have an offline business who are taking it online, and then people who realize I can't do all the things I wanted to do this year. So we've definitely seen that. And I think it's interesting because I do think most of the people who come to AccessAlly are pretty serious people by the time they choose us, because we are higher priced. So I haven't seen as much of a decrease or an increase in churn because of that. If we were kind of a lower price platform where people are just kind of testing their ideas, we might see that a little bit more. But because we are kind of that more premium offering for people, they tend to come to us after they've already tested their idea. And that kind of helps with churn, I think, in a lot of ways.
Definitely. And so far, because it's been quite a few years, what was your strategy when it comes to pricing? Have you changed it many times? Have you increased, decreased it? What have you been tested? I'm curious.
That's a great question. So we started off, our lowest tier was $79 a month. And in 2019, we increased that to $99 a month. And and then we had a middle tier, which was $99. We increased that to $129. And those are kind of the only time we increased our pricing was that one time.
Okay.
And people keep telling us you should keep increasing it. You should increase it more. People will, it's elastic. It'll work. And I think yes, it has potential to increase more, but I think for right now we're going to stick to that. We also have a higher price tier, which we call our in-house training tier, and we haven't had a whole lot of people take us up on it, so I don't think it's quite the right fit for what people are looking for. We've had a couple of happy customers on it, but I think we're actually working on a new add-on or kind of a new tier, which is our community tier, and so that's going to be essentially like a forum or a community area that integrates to AccessAlly, and that's going to be our third tier, and we're still working out the pricing for that one, but that's kind of how we decide to add more revenues to get people to upgrade as opposed to increasing the price they currently pay for now.
And whenever you're increasing price, do you increase it also for your existing user, or do you grandfather them into the oldest tier?
Yeah, so I kept all the existing people on the pricing that they had. And so that was kind of a marketing angle too, sign up before the price increases. So that also kind of saw a bump in new signups at that time too.
That's cool. We did the same. I feel like every time you increase price as a SaaS founder, this is when you start sweating and being super, super scared. I do advise people to increase price all the time, but personally, it's always something super stressful to do. So I understand 100% your feeling.
Yes, totally.
And I've seen that you are also quite active on social media. You have a YouTube channel. What's the strategy around that? Is it educational, or is it also to build a list? What's the strategy behind it?
Yeah, so I started off making YouTube videos in 2009, and that was not for this business. I call it my training business, which was, obviously the business I learned how to do marketing through. And I kind of took a step back from YouTube. And I was there's just with kids and there's no quiet time, and it's really hard to get ready and have the studio to do video in. But I'm really feeling now's the time for YouTube and video, especially. I feel there's kind of a resurgence, at least for me personally. And some of the ways I think it's more interesting to me today is because people are connecting with the people as opposed to just the content. And I think that's my strategy with it is, we've kind of gone back and forth with having different people on the team record videos and tutorials and things. But I think it's more powerful when it comes from the founder and when we're having that connection with the people who are watching our content or, having comments, on our videos and kind of responding to them. So that's kind of the strategy there is to just build that relationship because I think everyone wants tips and advice and, great stuff. But I think at the end of the day, people do business with people. And if they connect with you for your values or for the things that you believe in, or if you have strong opinions that they agree with, then that tends to really magnetize people. And I think that's part of our strategy with our YouTube videos and some of our content and our email marketing too.
Nice. You were talking about like strong opinions. So I'm curious, is there anything you have a strong opinion on where you've been connecting really well with your audience?
Oh man, I have so many strong opinions, but yes, I think some of the things are definitely around what I will call like kind of equity and, female founders, especially. I feel like there's a lot of talk in so many spaces about like crypto and all of these things, and it's going to democratize everything. And at the moment, it's not really the way it's looking, right? So I feel like just calling out some of those things and being able to say, what, right now, it is not the democracy system that we think it is, and it's not going to solve the problems that we're seeing. So yeah, I have so many issues I could talk about there, but yes.
That's cool. No, that's really cool. I think, yeah, you're totally right. And I agree with you on that point. I was thinking about your strategy as you were speaking, because you come from a background where you were selling for $500,000 per year, courses, masterminds. So you had kind of like this type of coaching business, and then you moved to SaaS, which kind of like reminds me of the story of ClickFunnels, like with Russell Brunson being really into like this selling courses and having his coaching business on the side, and then building this $100 million plus ARR company. So I'm curious, like you were telling me about the training you made, which is a free training where people, whenever they join, you gamified like the onboarding of your SaaS, which is like really cool. Have you thought of charging this? Have you tested it? Or what is your view on, like having a SaaS, but also continue to make people pay for this coaching or like kind of like courses online?
We've experimented with like an upsell to a course, and it was a course about making courses, which I know there are tons of courses on that topic, so it kind of feels silly sometimes, but it is, very tied to our business to help people create good courses. So we've experimented with that, and we also do sometimes bonuses where we give them, content or courses that are designed to help them, with the software or kind of launching or doing all of that, because we do have that content still that, it's a little bit dated at this point, so we could kind of make it a little bit fresher. But yeah, so we've definitely experimented with that. And we are constantly saying like, oh, could we do more kind of mastermindy stuff again, like adding that on top? Or so there's definitely some of that happening behind the scenes that we're planning. And I think the other thing that kind of my husband is great at balancing me out with is like, no, this is actually a software business and we should focus on our core competency. So I definitely like going in that direction still, but also recognizing like, no, if we make really great software and people love it, that's all we need to do. So it's kind of a balance between like me wanting to go back in that direction and then also just really doing the best that we can with what we have.
That's really interesting. I'm asking because we also have a software, and we started doing like courses like this where we've organized things and made quite a lot of money with it. And I was really wondering, because to me, as your husband says, it's like you have a software business, so you should focus on software. And I'm always wondering like, okay, should this course be free or should we make people pay for it? Because obviously, like if it's the best course ever created, you definitely want people to understand the value, and putting a price on it is important. But at the same time, if you know that by building this course, you can make your users more successful, it means that they will stay longer on the product, they would use it more, etc. So I'm always like curious, between this. If it's free, it means for people that it has no value. So potentially like they were just going to watch the first minute and then stop. But if you make them pay, then you have less people using it, which means that down the line, it's less people using your product, etc., etc. So I don't know, like, what's your take on that based on your experimentation?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think one thing we've done, which is our challenge that I talked about in the beginning, it's called the 30-day list building challenge. And what it is a quick short video every day for 30 days, all about how to build your email list. And what we added, which our customers basically who are going through it were like, I really want to go faster. I don't want to wait 30 days to get all the lessons. Can I pay to fast track this? And so what we do is people can opt in for free. They go through the sequence, they get it one a day. Or if they're really keen, they can pay $27 to just fast track and get everything on day one. So I feel like there might be a way to do something like that with this kind of really awesome content where the people who, maybe can't afford it yet or, need that like taste test before they really trust you can go through it for free. And then the people who are like, this is amazing. I got so much value. I want to fast track. Let's do it. That would be probably what I would do if I were in that situation.
That's a really, really good idea. I love it. And now that we've seen a bit, how the growth has been, like your different strategies, I want to talk about the tough times. As Bootstrap founders and as founders in general, we always have tough times and tough moments. And I think it's good to share them because we have a lot of entrepreneurs listening to our stories. So to you, what was one of the toughest time or the 2 or 3 toughest time you faced?
Yeah, I would say very early on in the beginning, before we got traction with AccessAlly specifically, I feel like, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I feel like we had 20 customers for what felt like 1 year. It was so low compared to what we were used to. And you always see this, hockey stick growth of people, it takes a little while, but then it just takes off, right? For this software world that we're in. And I was just not seeing that. And I really questioned, is this the right direction? Should we be doing something else? So definitely there's that entrepreneurial doubt or, is this the right path? And then when it started taking off, obviously things got a little bit easier and that kind of put me at ease. And then I would say the other tough times were probably, after we had our kids and obviously with COVID and school closures and everything closures, we also moved from Texas back to Canada and we bought a farm and we basically did that February 2020. So it was a very rough couple of months, but that was more personal than on the business side. Although, like I said, we had new signups and people canceling. So there was some business stuff to worry about a bit too, but I would say those were kind of the big ones. And then, we've had other things on the team, hiring and firing and kind of some of that stuff as well.
Lots of things here, so I want to kind of go through each of them. You were mentioning that you were kind of struggling at the beginning, not seeing this hockey stick or the traction, and there is this saying you success is obvious, which I think is kind of true whenever you start getting this traction and product market fit. So what kept you, what kept you motivated to keep going on user acquisition, even though, you move from a business making $500,000 and then you have a SaaS with 20 customers, as you said, which felt like a year. What was the motivation behind it? Was it the business model, the interest, the feedback from users where you were seeing that, they were really enjoying the product? What was your motivation?
Yeah, I think the feedback from the people who did buy and who loved it was definitely what kept us going. And we kind of we saw the potential, we saw what was out there, we knew what we were doing was different and it would really help people. So I think we could the vision was clear and the feedback was good, but it was just people were just not showing up yet. And I think that was the big thing. So I would say, having that vision and also listening to our customers was a big one. And then also because I had done web design, for a little while, way back early in my business, I knew that what we had could really help potential people and also help developers as well and other kind of web designers. So I kind of started to think about putting myself back in those shoes, what would I be looking for? And that kind of helped us too, to connect with other potential partners and things like that.
That's cool. Yeah, I think in this time, you really need to find motivation somewhere. Your customers are usually a great source of motivation. But you were also mentioning that you had a lot of mastermind back in the days with your courses. Is that something you continue doing as a founder, meeting with other founders, sharing your doubts, etc.? Is it something you're onto right now, or?
Yeah, so I've been part of masterminds for sure. And those were huge for growing my business and just changing my mindset on so many things and just kind of helping with growth in general. And I've participated throughout pretty much my entire like business career through different types of masterminds. Some were paid, some were like self-organized. And right now I am in another sort of type of mastermind for SaaS founders. So yeah, I do feel like there's a lot of potential to connect vulnerably and get feedback from other people who are in the trenches too, because I think things are always changing, and just seeing what's happening and that you're not alone, I think is a really, really big part of keeping going in those harder times, like you said.
You piqued my curiosity. So what's the type of mastermind you're in right now? Which is a
Yeah, so I'm in Dan Martell's SaaS Academy. So it's not quite a mastermind, but it has a little bit of that vibe going.
That's really cool. And you mentioned, you were just above 1 million in ARR, which means that you had to hire a team. But when there is hired, there are also fires. So how exactly did it go? Well, what were the challenges when it comes to management?
Yeah, so this is definitely an area of growth for me personally because I was a university grad. I graduated and started my business right out of college. So I didn't have any like management experience or hiring experience. I had to learn all of this from scratch. And I really realized many times over that, you really have to find the right people. And otherwise, you're going to just have issues down the line. And we've hired the wrong people a couple times. It happens where we're like, okay, we're just going to post this to all the places online, and whoever shows up, we will interview. And if they sound great on an interview, we'll hire them. And then, a couple months later, we're like, why isn't it working? And it just didn't get better. And so it was just our process, right? So we've refined our hiring process a lot over the years. And I think that is kind of the key to making sure you have the right people so you don't have to fire them. So that has been amazing. And so we do a lot of different things. So, for our developer side of things, we do like a code assignment essentially, so we can review their code because that's what they're going to be doing for us. So that's really important. And then, for other things, we might have like a writing sample or something else that kind of gives us an idea of how they work. The other thing that we found that works really well for us is to hire people in our community. So we've hired, other developers and designers who use our product, and they're just already familiar. So it's like that learning curve is amazing because they just hit the ground running as soon as they come into the business. And then in terms of firing and letting people go, it's really hard and it doesn't get easier. We've had a couple of them over the years, and sometimes it's just, like I said, wrong fit from the beginning. And other times it's just over time, the business has kind of changed directions or things have it's not quite the right fit anymore, even though it was in the past. And so those are also really hard. And we've done things like performance improvement plans, like things that we've learned from management type stuff. And, it works, but sometimes it doesn't work. And there's still that decision to make. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really feel you on this. I started with small team and then had to grow it as well. And I feel like with management, you have to learn the hard way. It's only, whenever you're firing people or letting someone go and you feel like shit, essentially, that then it pushes yourself not to do the same mistakes. And I really enjoy what you said about hiring from the community or hiring from, existing networks. Recommendation also works really well. So if someone from your team know another person that could fit, it's quite helpful. That's really, really interesting. And growing past 1 million in ARR for a SaaS is already exceptional. Most SaaS never go past, 100K in ARR. So you must have been having a lot of offers from VCs or things like that. Is it something you're asking yourself, should I raise money or not? Are you against fundraising? What's your kind of point of view on all of that?
Yeah,
because I know you have strong opinions.
That's another one of my strong opinions for sure. So I'm not against raising money, but I don't think it's right for a lot of smaller businesses, depending on what your goals are. So for my goals personally, we get approached a lot by VCs who want to invest or private equity firms or other companies that want to buy us. And a lot of times they're kind of surprised by the numbers. And then they're like, oh, wait, what? You're actually doing okay by yourself. What? So to me, that's kind of a sign that, we've built something that we love running, that we have a great team. We enjoy the work that we do. It lets us, farm and raise our kids and, but still help our clients. And that's been amazing. So for me, I don't feel the need to go out and get money to kind of grow the thing. I feel like also I've been super conservative with the way that we spend our money. So we have a lot of cash in the bank. And I feel like, I don't know if that's like the case for all founders, but to me, it just lets me sleep well at night, knowing that we can cover payroll if anything happens. And, I really care about our team members. So I feel like that is the least I can do is to just make sure this thing is stable. The ship is not going to, go under anytime soon. And yeah, that to me feels like if we wanted to reinvest, we could do it and we could grow faster. But also at the same time, I kind of have this like very organic growth approach. And I feel like that helps us not burn ourselves out. It helps us, make good decisions that are long-term focused, as opposed to just like, okay, we need to get this so that we can pay back, investors or however numbers work for those kinds of deals. So that's my perspective and that's my opinion. And I know that different people will do it differently. Also in the WordPress space specifically, there's been a lot of acquisitions recently. So I know LearnDash just got acquired, Pagely, there's just like so many over and over. And it kind of brings up a lot of, maybe some drama for people, because we think WordPress is this sort of decentralized open source kind of thing. And then when you have the same companies purchasing all of the other smaller companies, you have this consolidation happening. And that's one of the things people trust us with when they pay us a little bit more than what the other plugins are charging, because they know we're not going to kind of sell out. And then you're not going to be dealing with, a big company that doesn't care about you. So those are some of my opinions on this topic.
I like your strong opinions. And down the line, so basically your goal is really like bootstrapping lifestyle business, potentially like getting a good earning, dividends at the end of the year. But I think like what you said, it's very true about like peace of mind. Peace of mind, I think, as a founder is priceless. And that's one of the main advantages of having a SaaS business with recurring revenue, is that, like once you hit that target where you're really like profitable, you know that you're going to be able to have everyone on payroll. And if you have a little bit of money in the bank, it can't hurt. So that's really cool. So your goal is essentially like your vision for the next like 5 years or 10 years is really like to keep growing your community and the product. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right. Just keep making it better. And so we kind of have this saying on the team, we want to take care of each other as a team, take care of our clients and partners, and then keep making our product and processes better. And that's what keeps us going. We have great, monetary goals like just all the companies out there. But at the same time, those are the important things. And if we don't feel that, then what are we really doing? Because I feel like we could just go get some like corporate job or, whatever. If we really cared more about that, then, we would probably do it that way as opposed to doing it this way.
Nice. And early on, we were talking about like the content you've produced. I think like you're linking a lot of your personal life. So buying a farm in Canada, like moving from Texas back to Canada, and so your personal life and also your business. And I feel like you managed to really like link both and have this kind of like lifestyle business where you're making good money, you're taking care of people. Is it something you feel like helped you to connect on a better way with your customers and create this very strong relationship with them?
I think so. Yeah. And I kind of want to be that like example for people. So sometimes they're not even customers of ours, but I had someone who we've kind of known each other online for several years, and she has a successful nutrition business. And she reached out and she's like, we want to buy a farm too. Like, do you want to chat? And I was like, yes, like I'm all in for this kind of thing. So, I definitely feel like I want to give that example of, you don't have to do it a specific way. And, definitely early on in my business, I had coaching coaching delivered to me that, you have to look super polished and you need the high heels and the dresses and all of that. And I did that and it worked. And, people, they respect you more because you're professional and you look put together. And I love that. But at the same time, it's okay to have, muddy boots and go out there and feed your chickens and, all of that stuff, because that's what I love. And that makes me happy. So yeah, it's totally cool to whatever range that, what kind of lifestyle you want is totally up to you. And I think being able to show that and be an example for other people who want a slightly different lifestyle than what you're supposed to have, I think is a great thing. And I think that's why I love entrepreneurship, because you can build the life that you want and it's not always easy. I definitely have to share that too. But that is, to me, what drew me to it in the beginning.
It's very inspiring. Like, I love your mindset, of saying, okay, like, we're all different. We all aspire to different things. If you can be your true self on social media, people will definitely like connect on a much more emotional level. And you don't have to be super with high heels and stuff like that. Like, you can just be your true self, and it works. And it seems that it's been working really, really well for you. So congrats on all of that. And what's the upcoming plans? Do you have like any like creative strategy you want to set up for your YouTube channel or your other content channel? Like, what's in the book right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think really we've kind of been talking about it a little bit, but just having more of those kind of what I'm calling founders blogs. But I don't know people are looking for that, so I'm not really kind of like frame it that way. But I feel like just having more of these like real chats with people about what it's like running a business. And I think whether you are selling online courses or a membership that is a recurring revenue business, or you're selling SaaS or other kind of software, I think there's a lot of threads that run through that are common to all types of businesses online. So I feel like the more I can share some of those things with people, but in a very real way, I think that's really great. And then the other thing that we've started doing is what I call our seamless scaling series. So this is basically an interview series where we're really getting on with a lot of our customers and kind of asking them, what made you choose AccessAlly? What do you like about it? How are you scaling? How are you growing your business? And just kind of seeing what's working for them so we can share that with our community and hopefully, reach out to other communities as well. So that's been working really well. We're doing them live on YouTube, which is kind of an interesting approach too, because people can chat and ask questions. And yeah, we want to do more of those and just kind of feature more great people.
That's really cool. And you were able to interview your customers and showcase their success stories using your tool. Did you manage, because this person are usually like course builder, which means that they have an audience, they have people like taking and buying their courses. Were you able to have their audience participate to this type of conference? Like, how exactly do you plan this?
Yeah, so we do, we don't force them to share it, but we do make it easy for them to invite their people. And a lot of times they do share the recording afterwards, just because it's a lot of logistics sometimes to get people on live. But we do share it with our audience live so that they can come and ask questions. And it's worked out really well. We've definitely had, people coming from other people's businesses, essentially audiences, to learn more kind of that behind the scenes. And it's interesting because we do also have a lot of people on our platform that are coaches or kind of in that space. So it attracts kind of all the right people for our software, for sure.
That's really nice. And whenever you have like this person in your customers, like, how exactly do you select them? Do you reach out to all the person that have been there for 6 months, or do you kind of like check the activity on the platform? Like, how do you select them?
Well, we started off with the people that we know personally, because we were kind of friends, or we were like online buddies essentially. And so those were the easier first people that we picked. And then what we do is we kind of like take a look at, who emails a lot into support. And we do log into their site sometimes because we're troubleshooting things. So if we see like a really great example of a site, we're like, oh, this would make a great, kind of case study or, interview. So we do that too. And then we also just, as sales come in, we kind of just check out the people who are signing up so we can kind of get to know them a little bit better. So we kind of keep our eyes on that too. And so for example, Ollie Gardner, co-founder of Unbounce, was, we saw him sign up and we're like, wait, Ollie Gardner just signed up for AccessAlly. What? That's great. So we like kept an eye on him, and then he tweeted to us basically saying like, "Oh my God, AccessAlly is amazing! Like the onboarding was great." And I was like, "Oh, okay, he likes us. Like it's not just some fluke." So we kind of kept in touch with him and interviewed him a couple months in after he had everything set up and he launched his new site. So yeah, we kind of just keep an eye on who's coming in and kind of see what they're up to and kind of build that relationship a little bit from that start.
That's really nice. And any other like growth lever that you used to try to get like other communities to join or leverage like other course owner? Like what has been working really well for you?
Yeah, so we've done a couple of things where it's not necessarily other course creators, but we integrate with certain CRMs or email marketing platforms. So we've done co-marketing with some of those platforms in the past that worked really well. So for example, Keep and Active Campaign and ConvertKit. So we've done things like, a lot of times they have like our partners are integrations on their website. So that helps. But we've also done like webinars together and kind of done training to their certified partners because a lot of them have certified partners. So kind of just training their power users on AccessAlly plus that platform. And that has worked really well to kind of get the word out. And we're not doing them as much these days because it is a lot of coordination. And, a lot of times like they have their own goals and like initiatives and stuff, and we do too, and it's hard to get them to like line up to do a webinar or something like that, but it definitely worked well for us in that beginning stage to get us out there, just because not a lot of people knew us in the beginning.
Yeah, I think like partnerships, I was discussing this the other day with the founder of Tiny Seed, who also founded Drip. And basically like it's always challenging. Like it can work, but as you said, like aligning priorities, schedules, etc., and also depending on the size, of each business, it's the same. Like for example, if a very tiny business integrates with you, like do you really want to put all your marketing effort in doing something? So you, as a person, always try to see bigger and find like a bigger partner, but for them, you are like the smaller one. So it's always like a complex. But as you said, it can really work well sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No, that's really interesting. And going back a bit, like to the tough times that you mentioned, is there anything you do like as a founder to kind of like, because you seem to have a very well balanced life. So what are the things you do like to kind of get more energy and motivation during these tough times?
Yeah. So thank you for saying that, but I don't feel like I have it all together. But I think one of the things that we do is try to take time off. And I know as founders, that sounds like, well, of course you take time off. But then at the same time, when you're in it, you're like, no, I can't take time off. I have way too much to do. So yeah, we try to actually like yesterday, I went to a coffee shop and read a book, like a physical book for like 2 hours. And that's like crazy, right? It doesn't sound crazy to most people, but to a founder, I didn't have my phone. I didn't have anything to check, right? And yes. I think we need that, disconnection time sometimes. So yeah, I think that helps me. And it does like, refill my well, because I think we do get depleted if we're constantly constantly responding to things or making decisions. We're kind of like always thinking about the business, right? So I think that is really important to take a step back. And yeah, I think the other thing too is just when you hire great people, that makes a huge difference. So kind of going back to the hiring side of things. So we have someone who's like our people operations person on the team. And so if people have questions or anything, like she's the one that handles most of that. She handles the hiring and the onboarding and a lot of that. So I don't have to do the things that I don't consider to be my zone of genius. So that helps me focus on what I'm really good at and what I enjoy doing. So I'm not kind of getting depleted on things that are not kind of like my favorite things to do, essentially. So that also has helped a lot. But in terms of finding the motivation, I think just, like having that vision for like why you're doing this and just kind of having that groundedness, I think is huge. And not comparing yourself is the other big one. So I think a lot of times, we're ambitious, right? We're all ambitious. I love that. And at the same time, just knowing what your enough is so that you're not going to burn out. You're not going to overextend or, get in a tough situation that's way worse than if you just kind of knew like, like, okay, at this phase in my life, we have young kids, we have all these other things going on, I'm cool with what we have. We have enough, we're happy. I have so many more years in my life to do amazing things and, publish a book and do all these things. I'll get to that later.
Yeah, I think it's, as you said, it's super important not to compare yourself with others. And I feel like as long as you're making like your future self proud, it's essential. Like compare yourself to the one you were like a year ago or something, and then you see like the evolution.
Yeah, we're always comparing to like where we think we should be as opposed to where we came from, which is like crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And like you were telling earlier that at some point you had coaching, talking about appearance, about how you should act, like how we should behave, what we should say, and all these things. And I feel like you kind of like had a switch in mindset at some point, and you started having all these strong opinions, and like jump. And I feel like for a lot of founders, it's tough sometimes, like because they don't understand or sometimes they are just scared about what they could say and how it could impact them. What would be like the advice you could give to like your younger self about like like whenever you started like 6 years ago, like what would be the advice you would give to your younger self?
Yeah, so I would say kind of like knowing your truth and being comfortable with it, whether it resonates with other people or not, because you don't want to do business with people who are not on the same page as you. And I think that is a really good litmus test too. So we have an equity statement on our website that says, we believe that Black Lives Matter and we believe in equity and all of these things. And we've had people send us an email saying, I'm not going to do business with you because of what's on your website. And we were like, oh, okay, if you're talking about our equity statement, then great. Like, I don't think it would have worked out really well either. So thank you for letting us know. But yeah, so I feel like it's okay to not try to please everybody. And I think, telling myself that too, I think we're like, I don't know if it's all people or just women, but I feel like we're all people pleasers and we want to get all the customers and make all customers happy and make all partners happy. And at the end of the day, it's not possible. So just choosing what are the things that matter most to you, whether that's, your line in the sand of like, I'm never going to cross this line, or this is what I believe so strongly that if, we're on this different page for this, then we're not a good fit. And I think that saves you so much like heartache and like, all kinds of stuff. So I would say that is kind of the advice I would give myself is, trust your gut and trust your truth. And that line in the sand is there for a reason.
I really love it. I feel like, one of the toughest thing to start with whenever you get your business started is having this clear ideal customer profile. You start something and then you start having people, who you never thought would actually use your product. And then you say, oh, it's a new land of opportunities, and as you get and as you grow, you're going to have like more and more different customers. And I feel like, as you said, like if you could write down and put a line on the sand, like saying, okay, this is a line I do not want to cross. These are the customers I do not want to work with. I think this is super powerful. And at least, it gives you like kind of a rule to live by, which I think is super important. And it kind of free your mind also, because, there is always this thing, especially when you do customer support, when you have these customers who are very abusive, either like being rude, talking like wrongly to your support team, etc. And then, it's your role as a CEO to be able to say, okay, like just cancel their account, refund them, and just let them know that we're not going to work with them. And I think this is a powerful statement.
100%. And we've had to do that not too many times, but we've definitely had to do that. And it feels good to be able to say, hey, we're refusing service. We canceled your account. We refunded you. Please go find something else for what you're trying to do here. Absolutely.
Have you felt that we had a few customers like this as well, but have you felt like some of them get really pissed and go like on social media, kind of like trash and talk badly about your company? Or
We didn't have that situation. Actually, they just went away and nothing happened. So that was beautiful.
Okay, nice.
But we have had people, trash us on social, just one person actually.
Yeah.
And then we tried to follow up with them, via email, and we kind of figured things out. So we've had like a couple of outliers like that, but for the most part, I feel like how you want to be treated is how you are treated. So if you let people get away with things like that, then it will continue and it'll kind of attract more of those kinds of situations. But if you have those strong boundaries, I think people do realize like, oh no, wait, actually, yeah, you're a human being on the other side of the screen answering me right now. I should probably remind myself of that, right?
Yeah, I think the part of like reminding people that we are human being, even though like it's a chat and it's not automated, we are actually like real people is super important. Because I mean, like in every software, it's normal that down the line, people might get frustrated at some point. It can be on their end because they had a bad day or whatever, but in the end, you're here to help, and you're also a human, so it's normal to be treated the right way.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And, that's kind of one of our things is like, we have jumpstart calls. So basically people can get on a call with someone on our team. So we have a different couple of ways that people can interact with the people on our team. And once they see you like on a Zoom call like this, they're like, oh yeah, like they're so nice, right? But once you get to like text written kind of stuff, people forget that human side. So yeah, we just have to remind them sometimes.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes text message is also like very weird to interpret. So sometimes, you're going to read something with a certain tone when actually the person didn't mean that way, So I think it's important, like the face-to-face is extremely like important. And have you like, because we're talking about like this kind of like angry customers, like churn customers, what's your churn process like? Is it something where people can just cancel, or do they have to reach out to you and maybe like hop on a consultation call before they go? How exactly does that work?
Yeah, so we used to have that they have to email in and then we'll cancel for them, but we do have a self-cancellation flow now built with AccessAlly. So we basically make it pretty easy if they're ready to go. We do have a little survey after they cancel so that we can know like, hey, what made you leave, and tell us a little bit more about what could have been better. And sometimes we do reach out personally if we're like, hey, actually like that feature is coming, in a month, or, something like that. We do try to save people in that way. But yeah, we also, I feel like giving them that agency to cancel themselves, I think is a really nice thing because I've been a software customer and it's like, oh, okay, yes, now I have to do this email thing. And, it's just an extra hoop that people don't need to have. And a lot of times, if people are happy, they're going to stay on. And if they're not happy or if they can't afford it, then, we don't want them to feel weird about that. So I think it's good to just give them that option.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like if you can just live on your own and don't have like 5 emails to send, a postcard, and do a few hoops, then it's much easier. Well, I really enjoyed our chat, and I know your time is valuable, so we're gonna wrap up with 3 questions that I love to ask. Favorite book or podcast, if any?
All right, this one, I brought it. So it's called We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rodgers, A Woman's Guide to Earning More, Building Wealth, and Gaining Economic Power.
Nice. Can you pitch it to me a bit?
Yeah. So essentially it's about, she is an amazing business owner herself. She has a membership program, and I think they're at like the 5 million mark a year, something like that.
Nice.
So she has a foundation that helps like Black women who want doulas and birth support. So, all of the work that she's doing is super powerful, but this book is especially about, how to build that foundation for yourself, whether it's a career or a business that you're building, so that you have that economic, power to really have agency in your life and do good things. So, yeah.
That's really cool. Really cool. Your favorite Bootstrap founder and why?
Yes. So Laura Roeder, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she's the founder of Meet Edgar. And then she also has Paper Bell. And why? Because she was one of my first mentors, actually. And she really helped me get started selling online courses at the time. And she was doing courses at the time too. And yeah, I think she's just an incredible person. And I just love the way she does business and the way that she's founded several software companies. And also similar kind of stories as us. We launched AccessAlly about the same time as me, Edgar, and her husband is kind of her tech person too. And my husband is my tech person. So I just feel like we have a lot in common.
That's really cool. I'm meeting with Laura actually later this month. I'll say hi. Yeah. And final question. What's your favorite thing to do to kind of regain your motivation? I know you mentioned reading book in coffee shop, but is there anything else that you really enjoy doing?
I mean, gardening is kind of my big thing. So yeah, just planting things and watching them grow. I feel like there's this great quote. I think it's by, I'm going to forget her name, but basically planting a garden is believing in tomorrow. Or believing in the future, because I feel like to plant something, you have to know that there's going to be a tomorrow or a future to come. And I feel like that really just resets everything in my head. So if I'm like, oh, I'm stressed about tomorrow, I'm stressed about whatever, but no, there's actually good things happening in the future. So I think that is a really good motivator for me.
Very bright and optimistic. I love it. Well, Nathalie, thanks a lot for taking the time to have a chat. Where do people can find you, follow you, or have a chat with you if they want to reach out?
Yeah, so AccessAlly.com. So that's kind of the hub where everything happens. You can also go to NathalieLussier.com. I'm on Twitter at Nat Lussier, NathaLussier. And I'm also on YouTube. So if you search for Nathalie Lussier or AccessAlly on YouTube, you'll find me there. And I also have a farm channel. So if you want to see our farm adventures, it's linked from our main channel too.
Awesome. We'll put all the links so people can find out in the footnotes. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Nathalie. Have an amazing day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Bootstrap Stories, the only podcast where Bootstrap entrepreneurs share their journey in all transparency. If you enjoyed this episode, don't hesitate to leave us a review. And in case you want to see the interview, all episodes are live on the Guillaume Moubesh YouTube channel. Check out the link in the description and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Have an amazing day and make sure to also join us in our amazing Bootstrap community where we all helped each other to become successful and grow a profitable business. Take care and talk to you soon.